And we are live. We are here with the one and only Noah Isaacs, overachiever and all around great guy. So, Noah, where are you calling in from today?
I'm currently calling in from Tokyo, Japan. Been living here for about 4 years, and so it's
So,
very nice to be here.
so you're calling in from the future. So the Earth doesn't
That's
end
correct.
on the 13th. We at least get to the 14th. Okay, good.
At least 8 a.m.
At least 8 a.m. Okay, well, I mean, I don't like to get up before then, but whatever. Um, So tell us, you're in Tokyo now. Well, where are you originally from? Are you from the U.S.? I'm guessing by your accent.
Yeah. I'm originally from Massachusetts. I grew up in very small town right in the middle of Massachusetts, and I lived there for about 18 years, and then I moved to Minnesota for a few years, and now I'm in Japan.
Okay, well, I have to ask because Roe will be all cross if I do not, because he grew up in Vermont. So, what
Oh,
is the
cool.
small town in Massachusetts?
The small town is called Rutland, which is a bit unfortunate because there's a bigger town in Vermont called Rutland. So whenever I say Rutland, people think of Vermont, and whenever it's on the news, it's Vermont. Um, and so he's certainly heard of Rutland, Vermont, but I don't know about Rutland, Massachusetts.
Okay, well, when he watches this show, he will know that I asked the question, and if he doesn't watch it, then a pox on his house. Um, So what take brings you to Tokyo, Japan? I mean, Massachusetts, Minnesota. My next guess would not be Tokyo.
Yeah, I lived in Minnesota for school, and so when I was graduating, I was looking for PhD, master's programs, and astrobiology. My field is not so widely offered, and so I had to narrow it down to a bunch of schools that were offering it, and I had a bunch in the U.S. That I had narrowed it down to, and then within the school, I had to narrow it down to like specific laboratories and professors that actually fit my interest. And yeah, the one in Tokyo that I'm at just aligned the best, and then I applied, and I kind of never looked back.
Okay, and what is your field of study?
Astrobiology. So our institute works all about like trying to figure out how and why life originated in the universe. So that's what we're doing every day.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that you are the sci-fi writer's best friend, and if anyone has any questions about, hey, does this make any sense for my aliens? Everyone just go ahead and contact Noah. I'm sure he has lots of free time.
Yeah, I would love that. And it's funny you mentioned that because my friends and I, we all just went to see Project Hail Mary, and we there were a few moments like that where we were rolling our eyes. But no, it's I do come across things every now and then, and I'm like, I don't know if that's right, but I'm not going to say anything.
So you, sir, are somewhat prolific as an author. You have 5 books out now. Is that right?
I got 4 books out. The fifth is currently up on pre-order.
Oh, so Heretic is not out yet.
Heretic is out. The fifth one is
Oh,
Ascendant.
Ascendant. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So you started publishing when?
I started publishing, I think Memories of Tomorrow came out November 2024.
So actually, I wrote the dates down, so I can tell you. So November 2024, May of 25, November of 25, and now April of 26. So you're putting out about 2 books a year.
Yeah, that's my goal. That's what I aim for better or worse.
And you're getting a PhD in astrobiology.
I'm sure I could get a lot faster if I focused more on my actual studies.
So what are the classes? I mean, I understand astrobiology, but since we haven't found any extraterrestrial life except for maybe a couple of Hollywood stars, but we'll go. What does one do? Are you looking at like the signals from the atmospheres of various planets, or
We uh we it's a very broad range of stuff that we cover. So we do like all sorts of chemistry, biology, geology, physics, math, whatever. Um I don't really focus on the biology side. I because my uh bachelor's degree is in geology, so I try to look at it through like a geology lens and earth science perspective. And so right now I'm looking at samples from the Apollo missions because um, there's all the big hubbub about Artemis right now, so it's very exciting. But I'm looking at Apollo samples, and sitting in the Apollo samples is actually some remnants of the Earth's atmosphere. And so we're using the samples to reconstruct how the Earth's atmosphere changed, and then we can use that to figure out what the old environment looked like where life might have come up. And my goal with this is to one day apply it to Mars because the Japanese Space Agency has a very interesting mission that they're sending to Mars and the end of the year. And so I'm really hoping to be able to do the same sort of thing.
Okay, I promise we'll talk about your books, but I'm very
I
much a space
I
nerd,
love this too. This is great
and
too.
you mentioned mission to Mars. I've written a book about Mars already. So tell us about this JAXA mission to Mars, because I have to know now.
Uh, it's called the Martian Moons Explorer. We call it MMX. And what they're doing is they're launching a rocket into uh, Martian upper orbit, and then they're going to also orbit the Martian moons. Uh, and I believe they'll send a actual lander. This is completely unmanned, but they'll send a lander onto the surface of Phobos and recover some samples, and then I think they get it back in about 2031, and they'll be able to actually do sample analysis. And
Nice.
the big thing is trying to understand how Phobos and Deimos formed because they don't really know, and then also
Right.
how the Martian environment evolved over time.
Mm. Well, now I'm kind of excited and disappointed because in Haley Traveler, actually had them land a couple times on Phobos, and I
Hmm.
basically had to make everything up. So one, I'm glad that I did before there was anything that I could get wrong. But two, if I'd waited, I could have made sure I got it right.
Well, it's don't worry, it's going to get delayed for sure. So you might be in the clear for a few more years.
Oh, good, because if it goes too much later, I'll be dead, so that's fine. Um, let's see. So we did that. We should probably let's see, discuss a few things here. When did you get into writing or become interested in writing?
um, I moved to Japan in 2022, and that summer I was pretty much just working the whole time. And I would work morning shifts, and so I'd come home, and all my friends would be at their like jobs throughout the day, so I'd have nothing to do. So I'd sit at home and I'd read, and then at one point I would get uh, to to ask some questions on like Reddit and different threads, being like, "Oh, I'm looking for this type of book," and I couldn't find it, and so that kind of prompted me to write Memories of Tomorrow, and then that snowballed, and that was like a 4 or 5 months that I was writing pretty consistently, and then once I moved, I lost all motivation, and then I think like a year later or so, I was like, you know, I have this book that's like halfway finished. I don't know if it's any good or not. It's probably not, but I should finish that. And then so I finally got around to finishing, and then November 24, I actually finally published Memories of Tomorrow. Could call myself an author, and that's pretty cool.
It is very cool. Um,
Yeah.
so let's see. So that's when you start writing. So you're not the typical writer that I've been writing since I could hold a pencil.
No, I actually loathed English almost my entire life. English classes were always my least favorite. If I had to read a book or write an essay, I was absolutely miserable. So it's very strange how I've come to this point.
I will tell you, I'm similar to you, although I waited till I was 46 to start writing.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, it was never a dream or a goal of mine, and I
Yeah.
basically started on a lark. I wonder if I can do this, and yeah, haven't stopped yet. So now, I'm an addict.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean that's how it happened to me too. It's there's a lot of days where it's like, do I want to do this? And then you're like, wait, I these books on my shelf, they're mine. That's pretty cool. And then you get going again.
so any fear about publishing your book, or were you like just throw it out there and see what happens?
Well, I knew I wasn't gonna be like Ryan Cahill.
Right.
Um, but So I had my expectations and right around the correct place. The fear for me was like my image. I didn't initially use my actual face. I was kind of like nervous about that or embarrassed somewhat. Um, and so I think once I got over that, I dropped any of like the hesitation towards publishing.
Okay. Sorry, I'm crossing off my questions. Um, so what? Tell us about your first book, which I do have here. Hold on, let me get it. I'll pull it up. Maybe. There we go. Oh, sorry. Get rid of that. Your first book that came out was
Memories of
Memories.
Tomorrow. Yes.
Yes. Share screen. Sorry. Normally, Ro gets to talk, and I get to just do this in the background. But there it is.
Yes.
So, Memories of Tomorrow. That does not look like a sci-fi sprawling adventure on a foreign planet.
No, I've today only written fantasy stories. I have some sci-fi ones in my drafts, like concepts, but so far it's been fantasy.
So tell us about Memories. Who's the main character there on the cover? I'm assuming that's the main character.
That is the main character. He's also the series titular character, so that's Aram. This follows him as he tries to combat the visions he has. And so he gets all these different dreams that are somewhat prophetic. They almost always end poorly with one of his friends dying. And so this story takes place following one of them where he sees this prophecy almost, and it's his last remaining friend. And so he sets out to actually put a stop to it and figure out how he can do that. And so it's sword and sorcery. It's full of, I like to say, D&D esque shenanigans. A lot of stuff goes wrong, which is always fun, in my opinion.
All right.
Um, and yeah, this is for sure my first book. If you read this, you can definitely tell this is a debut. That it's still pretty raw. I've toyed with going back and editing it, but I'm content enough with where it's at that I think that would be not worth it. And then in the second book, it evolves to actually he gets to the place where he can do this after he overcomes uh, the dream in the first book. In the second book, it's actually uh, making it so he doesn't have any more. And yeah, there's also a prequel novella that's like backstory sort
So
of stuff.
hold on,
But
hold on. Number two. We got to talk about
number
number
two, yeah,
auguries.
number two, yeah, this is the one. So in book one, they deal with that first dream, and then in book two, they're finally like, okay, now that we're um, actually past this, we need to make sure it doesn't happen again. And so they go on this quest to put a stop to it. And they enter his head sort of magically and fight against a bunch of obscure, esoteric, kind of ethereal enemies to eventually, hopefully, put an end to it.
Okay. So question for this cover here. What is the background?
So the background is done by the cover artist for the series, Jesse K. Sala, who does amazing work.
Yeah.
And what we're looking at is just a bunch of bridges and staircases that are going every which way without reason. This is the final scene of him in this kind of dreamscape as he's falling and fighting against all of his inner demons. And so I wanted something that kind of reflected the strangeness of the place that he traveled to, and I think Jesse did a very good job.
Yeah, I would say. And then you do have the prequel, which is Flames, right?
Flames that bind us, yes.
Let me. Where'd you go, Flames? There you are. The Flames That Bind Us. You got. I'm sure it's a warm, happy tale with a burning house in the background.
Yeah, yeah. Full of happiness, full of joy. Very good ending, of course. Um, but this one follows Aram, his first ever premonition that he gets as a child. And it's kind of like a what's the word for it? Boy That Cried Wolf. No one believes him. Everyone thinks
Right.
he's sort of crazy. And so it's short. I think it's about 15,000 words, and so it's just him navigating that and then the fallout.
Okay. And then, is this a completed series now, or is there a book three coming? Or
This is not completed. Book three will be coming, but I've currently shifted to working on my other series.
yep. Let me pull up Heretic. Share screen window Heretic. There we go. So, and I have to say, I this evening before we got on, I was like, well, let me just go see what Noah's been tweeting about. So I looked at your Twitter, and you are single focused. I mean, you share. You're a good citizen. You share other people's stuff, but when you're posting something, I see this cover like every single time.
Yeah,
Somebody is dedicated.
yeah, I'm not very good at social media. I don't have a lot of energy for it, so when I do have energy for it, I'm like I gotta make it worth it. I'm trying to be better about that, and not only posting stuff about my books because I know it gets old. Um, but yeah,
No.
that's been it, especially because it just released. So I've been trying to really harp on it.
Oh, sorry. I meant it as a compliment
Oh,
because
okay.
I mean, you are actually focusing on your launch. You're actually telling people you're putting the picture up there, reminding them it exists, as opposed to me, who I either post, "Hey, we have a show tonight," or else, well, about once a week, I post something else. So that's about all the social media I can muster. So when you say you're not good at it, I'm like, liar. Um,
Well, good is relative.
so what books did you? Oh wait, sorry, we have one more that is coming. Let me share my screen. Although this is
It's just a
so,
placeholder cover
tell
to
us,
release.
when is
Yeah.
the cover going to be released?
Um, that's a good question because it's finished and I have it sitting on my laptop right now. Um, I'm I'm waiting for some additional character art, and then I want to build up various art releases up to the cover, and so the character art should be done in about a month, hopefully, and then probably the cover. I mean, when is it? April 14th right now. I'm aiming for cover release probably early June.
And when is are you going to release date? I see that October 10th.
Yes. Yeah.
So nice. Release a cover in June, so you'll have the pre-order set up then, or
The pre-order's actually already been set up. I set it up
oh wow.
a little bit before Heretic went live. I should have set it up earlier because I put Heretic up on NetGalley, and if I had the pre-order link on my NetGalley, which um, did surprisingly well, then I probably could have uh, had a few more pre-orders for Ascendant, but live and learn.
Okay. So 10/10 this year. Everyone, after the show's over, not before, because first you have to like and subscribe. You have to watch the rest of the interview, and then you have to go pre-order Ascendant. So
Yes,
that is
10-10.
your work task for today, whether it's in the morning or in evening, depending where you're watching from. That is
Mhm.
your job. Um, so what did you like to read? If you're writing, you had to have been a reader. I know this has been a rage on Twitter, but I'm assuming you've read. Um,
I have read, not so much recently, unfortunately, but when I first got back into reading, uh, back in like 2022, I remember the first big series that I really fell in love with was Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin,
yes.
and that is just a phenomenal series. I don't think I've read a series where the prose has been as beautiful, and it is kind of a shame that I don't see so many people talking about it. But Earthsea was really the big one that I got back into, and uh, then there was The Lies of Locke Lamora, which I also fell in love with, and pretty much anything with heists and thieves, I'm a big fan of. And recently, I did a reread of Berserk, the manga, with my friend. Um, and so we've been going through all the new chapters, and then we finished that, and I'm hoping to get through Season of Storms, Game of Thrones book 3. And so that's what I got on my desk right now. But this year has only been Berserk. So I'm hoping to change that. Especially when I'm editing, I want to actually I think it's useful to read a book while you're editing so you can see um, other things, how they work, how they don't.
So we kind of glossed over Heretic, so I could get to the non-release cover. What is Heretic about? Because that is not in the same series as your first series, correct?
Correct. Yeah, Heretic it's what I call a prelude to the Testament to Broken Gods, the series being Testament to Broken Gods. And so it is a gritty military epic fantasy sort of series. It follows Var, the main character, and she's an assassin who is currently fighting for what she believes is um, making the world a better place. And then her targets that she's asked to assassinate by her master get bigger and bigger and bigger, and she realizes that it's not just one person dying, that killing this person actually has all these ripples, and she's no longer certain if doing what she's doing is making the world as good of a place as she thought. And so it's kind of her coming to terms with how she's actually impacting the world, contrary to what she thinks. It's a bit of a redemption story from some of her failures, and there's a romantic subplot that I've included as well. And so it really just explores her own personal journey as she comes to terms with this one question that she's asked, where it's like, "What is the worth of a blade that's lost its edge?" And so she's really trying to figure that out. And this was derived as an introduction to the series because a I had written book 1 when I started writing Heretic, and I was like, "Oh, I want an introduction," and these events had already been established, the character had already been introduced, and I was like, "Oh, what if I just flesh them out more?" And so then I worked on it. It was very I don't write very well in terms of timelines. I wrote book 1, and then I wrote Heretic, and then I wrote book 2. And so I'm currently sitting on a lot of drafts in need of editing, which is always fun.
You know, when I start writing, I would write one book, I'd finish it, I'd write the next book, finish it, and then I got burned out after writing four straight books in the same universe. And now I can't tell you how many projects I have open. And after like a week, I'm like, I could just change and jump over to that one. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I do that all the time.
I keep saying if I ever get my focus back, I'm going to be like they're going to be like Mike must be using AI. He's launched 6 books this year, but really, I'm just writing a little bit, stopping, writing here, stop. Yeah.
Yeah. No, every November I try to do like a NaNoWriMo, and that goes extremely poorly because I'll get 25,000 words in, and I'll be like, this other story sounds kind of fun. And then I'll get another 20,000 words in, and I'll be like, what about this other one? And so it's a mess, but it's worked out to an extent.
So when you write, do you write every day?
I try to. I find if I'm not writing, then I kind of lose any book motivation, and so I won't even be on social medias either, which is really damaging, I think, to uh, like the algorithm, I guess. Uh, but when I'm in writing mode, I aim for about 1,600 words a day. That puts me on pace for about 50,000 a month. Um, and so usually what I'll do is I'll get home from school right around 5:30, and then I'll have a good 2 to 3 hours before my girlfriend gets home, and we gotta cook dinner and do our nightly chores, and uh, I'll spend that time writing, editing, and then I'll start to cook dinner in conjunction with that. Uh, but when I'm editing, it's not really like a set, like I want to get this much done, this much done, this much done. I have roughly a date when I want to finish my draft by, and so just making sure I do that. But yeah, I find that consistently keeping to a schedule, even if I'm not hitting 1,600 and I'm hitting like 500, it's necessary for me for sure.
So when you write, do you know what you're writing that time when you sit down, or is it like, are you one of those scary people like, I'm just going to start typing and discover what happens as I go?
I know how a story begins and I know how a story ends. Everything else is just a wonderful surprise that I figure out with the reader.
So when you sit down like tonight after you come back from school, because you are in the future, you know what basically you have an idea what's going to be written tonight.
Um, yes, I'm currently editing book one, and it's
Oh,
going through a pretty decently sized rewrite. And so I know more or less what wants to be rewritten. Um, but I'm also kind of, if something comes to me, it comes to me. All of the rewrites have been stuff that I've come up with like the last 2, 3 months that I'm like, "Oh, this would be actually a lot better." And so even if as I've started the rewrite, I've been like, "Oh, I should add this, I should add whatever." And so it's kind of become a very big, intensive, obnoxious thing.
so do you have to every so often like, okay, Noah, you're not going to add more. You're going to publish this because if you sit on it for a month or two, don't you think, oh, I could add, or do you just like you're like, nope, nope, I'm sick of this. It's going live, and we'll move on.
Yeah, that is the problem, isn't it? Um, well, that's why I have a release date. I'm holding myself to that. So October 10th, it will be done, and it's just about making sure I get there, and we'll see when that happens.
So, I mean, I'll tell you, my sci-fi Haley Traveler, the second book was supposed to come out last summer, but other projects just jumped in. And so the last month or so, I'm like, ooh, I could do this. That would tie in, And I'm like, it's now going to be a complete rewrite, and it was going to be like 50,000 words, and now it's probably going to be like 75 or 80, and that's before I actually start writing. So God only knows what it'll end up being. And and then after that, I'll be like, I should give it another pass. And if I do that,
You're gonna want to change more stuff.
and I don't know if you know, but I have many a times I've said in all sorts of different spaces that if your book is over 500 pages, that means you need a better editor. And I am living in fear that I am going to write books that are over 500 pages if I'm not careful. And then the Tim McKays of the world will mock me, and the E.L. Montagues, I don't even want to talk about them. We just spent 3 days together, so we're both, coming back from a hostage type situation. Um,
Yeah, I will almost definitely be hitting 500 pages. So uh,
so
maybe we
disappointed.
can argue about that.
I actually, I don't. It's not. If Roe was here, he'd be going off again and yelling at me. Um, but what does Roe know? He's not here to defend himself, so we're going to trash him. Um, I would say it's more the longer books. They tend to be slower because the payout at the end. And I don't have the patience for slow. And the people are like, let's take the next 20 pages to discover the main character. No, no, that's when I'm going to bail. Um, so you have to keep my attention. I'm basically a 12-year-old, and you
I
have to
mean,
have an explosion every so often, or else I'm going to get bored.
I do feel like I have some upper limit. I don't know where I would quite place it. I do think with the Brandon Sanderson books, like Stormlight Archive, I I do think those are a bit above my limit. I think some of the Wheel of Time are also up there, Game of Thrones as well. Um, and so I probably hit mine at about 700.
Okay.
Uh, I don't know how long this book's going to be. It was first draft was initially 200,000 words, not pages.
Yeah, but
And then,
still, 200,000. That's like
well,
700 and some odd pages.
yeah, it's a lot for sure. A lot of that was glossary though, for my own
Yeah.
sanity. And then I cut a character, one of the POVs out, and that dropped the word count by about 30. And then my rewrite has also cut some words. So I'm down to like 140, 150 at the moment.
Good man.
And
Good
so
man.
I think we're hovering right around that 500 page
Yep.
count. So
So that's good. That's good. Cut it a little bit more. Like You
Maybe
know,
get down to 90 or go for 60 at that point, right?
100 is good. I mean, most of my books are about 100,000, so that's fine.
Hmm.
120 probably still okay. 130, 140, we're getting to the danger area. I also have never completed a series, and I know that the last book in every series is going to be just a chunker because I have so
Hmm.
many open things to deal with. But
Hmm.
we'll deal with that. I'll just quit social media, which
Yeah, there you
is like the dream anyway.
go. Yeah, I know. I get that for sure. I have thought about a lot of times just not posting anything, disappearing off the face of the earth to focus on writing, but then you come back from writing and then you've disappeared and no one knows that you exist. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword.
I don't know. As an introvert, I think that'd be wonderful that no one knew I existed. Um,
Yeah,
so
I don't blame you.
you're in Japan. Well, first let's start off. How is life in Tokyo? Are we a fan of the big city or?
Yes. My hometown in Massachusetts is about 5,000 or maybe 7,000 people now. Um, and so like, we didn't have a high school, we didn't have a grocery store. Um, we didn't have much. And then I moved to Minneapolis, which is a bit of a bigger city, and I was like, okay, this is much better. And then I moved to Tokyo, and it is just about everything you want to do is somewhere in proximity.
Yep.
It is also the most hate chaotic place I've ever been. And so a lot of people don't like it for that reason, which I totally get. But I don't need a car, which is great because those are expensive. I can
Yep.
walk, I can take the train, which is great. um, the food's really good. The people are very nice, and so I do really like it here. Um, and I know quite a few people that have come to visit that have also really loved it. I don't really know many people that have had terrible experiences.
Okay.
So
So random question for you. How tall are you?
6'4".
In Tokyo. How's that? Do they call you Godzilla?
No, I haven't been called that, but I do every now and then when I'm walking, I hear a person comment on my height, usually little kids. The trains are kind of rough because the train door goes to about like here, and so I'm ducking, and then the handlebars are like here, and there's always posters hanging in the middle of the train that I have to crane my neck, and so it's rough. My old apartment had really low door frames, and so I'd be hitting my head all the time, but I have moved and I'm okay. That's all that matters.
Okay. 6'4" in Tokyo. Nice. Um,
It's rough.
okay then. I had another question I was going to ask, and it just totally went away. Um,
Yeah, it happens. I do that all the time.
so you said you don't get to read very much now because school, writing, girlfriend, sleep, all the important things.
Hmm.
What do you if you were to get a weekend when you could just read, what would you choose? Fantasy, sci-fi, cozy mysteries?
It really depends on my mood. Um, I recently have really wanted to get back into Chronicles of the Black Company by Glenn Cook.
Yep.
I have the first three finished, the second three are sitting on my shelf, and so I think when I open a new book, it'll probably be that one. Um, Also, maybe Project Hail Mary, read the book, because really enjoyed the movie, and my friends are maybe deciding to start a book club. One of them also just finished Three Body Problem, and he's been recommending that to me, and so I've got that sitting behind me, and might crack that open soon too. So I don't really stray much from sci-fi fantasy.
Right. So you've written fantasy. Did you say is some sci-fi coming sometime in the future?
There should be.
Okay.
I have outlines, and I do have some finished first drafts of things that are sci-fi-ish, sci-fi adjacent. Um, so we'll see. I don't really know what my publishing timeline looks like beyond Heretic and then Ascendant, and then the book two after that. If there's anything in between, who knows?
And then after that, you'll be publishing a dissertation, hopefully.
Yeah, that's probably the big one. I should be focused on that more, shouldn't I?
That's your sci-fi.
Oh,
Well, it better not be fiction. Anyway,
no, hope not.
so if you were to write sci-fi, are we writing like sci-fantasy? Are we writing like near future, dystopian, space opera? What would a sci-fi book from Noah Isaacs look like? Are there spaceships battling a distant sun?
Um, the the one that would actually be more sci-fi that I have an outline for is I don't even know if you'd call it sci-fi. It's a solar punk heist book. Um, and I think once I'm done with my current like 3 books to be published, even though that doesn't finish the series, I think that solar punk will be the next one that I actually work on and potentially publish. And so I guess that's sci-fi. I don't really know. As for more harder sci-fi, there would be like spaceships and like space battles. And I probably have to read Red Rising at some point to get a reference for what people like in that
Ugh.
regard, but
Oh, I
we'll
have
see.
thoughts. But anyway,
I haven't read it, so I cannot agree or disagree.
so I read like the first 30% of it or so. Absolutely hated it,
Mm.
and I was very vocal about the fact that I hated it. And then I published my book Haley Traveler, and I had 4 separate people say this is a lot like Red Rising, and I'm like, I hate you all. I hate you all. So I went back and I listened to it. I actually finished it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I didn't like the beginning. I really did not like the, but it gets a little better. But I will say that there are certain chapters that when I was reading, it's like I don't care how long this chapter is. I am not going to sleep until I finish it.
Uh-huh.
And then there's others. I mean, it was kind of erratic that way, and someone was like, okay, yeah,
Kinda
this is
felt like a
pretty
job.
boring. But then when he was on, I was, oh my god. I mean, I was like, nope, nope. I might reread the chapter just because.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. It's a love hate. I was
Yeah.
told that the first trilogy is good, and the first book is the weakest by far. And then a lot of people hate the second trilogy, although
Mhm.
some people do like it. And then the third trilogy is the best of all. But
Okay.
the idea that I'm going to slog through an entire trilogy of bad works, this sounds very unrealistic to me.
Yeah, people might hate me for this, but that's how I feel about Wheel of Time.
Oh, good
I've
man, good man, good. You can come back anytime.
I've read the first 4 books, and people usually say that book 4 is the best or one of the best in terms of the beginning of the series, and I absolutely uh, just did not like it whatsoever, and that did not make me very popular. But yeah, well, that's okay. I
So,
I so but I shot not I think it's Shadow Rising, whatever. Wheel of Time is a series that I say I will stop reading. I've said that with every book, and then I've gone and read the next book. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I don't do that again and I actually stay done.
so I have actually never started it because you know me and my 500-page limit.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you hear people talk, well, yeah, I got to get through the slog, which is like 2.5, 3 books. I'm like, why would you do that? Why? So,
It's yeah, no, I book 1 was definitely a slog. I enjoyed book 2 to an extent, and then book 3 and 4, I just couldn't do it.
I don't know. I kind of like the TV show, at least the first season, which, if you want to see people's heads explode, I love
Yeah.
that.
I remember I had downloaded the first episode on a flight of mine, and then I watched it and I was like, none of this happens in the book. And then I got kind of upset. Um, and I don't even like the book, so I don't know why I did that. And then I stopped watching it.
Okay, so we're going to come to the most important question of the night.
Oh no.
And I don't know if you've seen the show, so you know if you know this question is coming or not.
Oh no.
But I want you to envision yourself. You're going down one of the main drags in Tokyo. You are in a saddle. This saddle can either be on a T-Rex or a Griffin. Which one do you choose and why? There's only one correct answer. And I don't want to sway your opinion at all, but there might be something to subliminally help you here.
I don't know. Something's telling me to go with T-Rex. Something of an inner part of me says T-Rex.
Good answer. I mean, you're in the land of Godzilla. You kind of have
Yeah, I figured.
to. So that is the question we asked people. Said we had to retire at the end of last year, but he's not here.
Awesome.
And I will tell you, about 90% of the people get it wrong. So congratulations, sir. You are in the top 10% of our guests.
Are we allowed to add certain answers to the question? Or
Sure.
is it only? I don't have one. I don't know why I asked that. I just. What would I? If I could pick anything now, what would I pick? I feel like dragon is the obvious answer. That's boring. I'll stick with
Yeah,
T-Rex.
that's why I did not include dragon. I was like, if I have dragon, then dragon wins every
Yeah.
time. Although I'm one of the few that doesn't really care for dragons. Don't like them.
To be honest, I can't say I do either. I'm not a big dragon rider person.
If I was smart, I would write books about dragons. That would probably up my sales a good 30% at least.
Yes.
So
I thought the exact same thing.
I will tell you that my fantasy series that I wrote, I wrote the 4 books, and when I start writing, I start going to Comic Cons, and I had people going, "Are there dragons in this?" And rather than yell at them, because that's usually not going to lead to a sale, so by the 4th book, I put it on my cover.
Nice.
There's like 5 pages. I've written 400,000 words in this series, and a dragon appears for all 5 pages. And I'm like, you know what? If you like dragons, then fine. Buy my whole series so you get your 5 pages worth. I don't care. I just want the sales.
Did it work?
And still today, when people come up, they're like, tell me about this book, and they pick up the dragon. I'm like, well, that's book 4 in the series. And on book 7, there will also be a dragon, but it's going to be a very, very small one on the cover. But
Nice.
So, yeah, that was. I was like, okay, fine. I have to put a dragon on there, whatever. But yeah, don't really like him. It's kind of a mindless beast that just wants to feed, and is bested by a druid who turns into an eagle. So
awesome. Eagles are better.
Clearly. Cool. So the other question that Roe devised for this year that we're very bad about actually asking. So first, you've read Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Okay, good. We don't have to end the interview right now then. Good. So question for you is, Tom Bombadil, good, bad, or indifferent in the Tolkien universe?
I really like the Tom Bombadil chapters. I think they're a lot of fun.
You were doing so well.
Okay. I think the chapters are fun. I do think they probably could have been edited out. Those are for sure fluff chapters, I will say.
And do you know the grief I get when I say that Tolkien needed a better editor? Do you know what grief I get when I say that out loud in a recording, and then people hear it and have comments?
I mean, I enjoyed 3 pages of trees, but that's I mean, I don't know. I think some books have certain pages that are just fun and don't really serve much of the plot, and I think that's okay. And I think that's what Tom Bombadil does. I'm very much someone that reads for entertainment, and so I don't know. He was a funny little guy, and I enjoyed it.
So when you're reading Tolkien, do you actually read the songs, or do you just skip ahead and go on with the prose?
I read the songs.
Oh, I totally do not know what any of the songs say. I'm figuring just move on.
I'm tone deaf. I for sure don't know any rhythm, but I think if it was put in the book, I got to read it. So I do like songs and books. I think they're fun.
So, like you, I have absolutely zero musical talent. So I do have a couple ballads in my books, which I know I hate them, but I put them in because I had to. And when my audiobook narrator is like, "So what about this? How do you want me to sing it?" I'm like, "Look, The only tune I can remember is London Bridge is Falling Down. So that's what every single one is like. Do what you want with it.
Nice. I thankfully had no songs in my first series, so I did not have to worry about that.
Very good job. Very good job.
But unfortunately, in Ascendant, there are two songs, so we will see
We
what
were doing
happens.
so well. We were doing so well. You just
It's like
backslid.
the prologue question, right? Like, do you skip prologues? Do you skip songs? I'm not saying we have to talk about that because that's a
Oh,
whole
if you
can of
skip
worms.
prologues and you're a heathen.
I don't. I read them. I think
Yeah,
they're
I figured. Yeah, you're a completist. You're going to read everything.
yes, yes, that's true. I'll read the afterwards, and I'll think to myself when the author says, "Oh, I changed this to this," I'll be like, "Well, you shouldn't have because this sucks now." Um, but yeah, I do like to read whatever I get thrown at me.
Can we both agree that the real monsters out there are the people who say they don't read epilogues?
I've never heard that before. Those people surely don't exist.
Yeah, I would hope not. I mean, I've seen it on Twitter a couple times. I'm like, I'm going to just assume that you're drunk and you meant
Yeah,
to say prologue and you misspelled. Um, because yeah,
or
how can you not?
epitaph. How epilogues is like that's the conclusion. Some people are also insane, to be honest.
Well, this is true. Speaking of which, oh wait, no, Momo, we love you sometimes. Um, and I'm on board with more ents. I like the ents. Um,
Ents are good.
so I do have a couple more questions I want to get to, and
Awesome.
then we're going to put one of your characters into the bald dome, where they may or may not
Okay.
return.
Okay.
But first of all, um, you are a member of SFF Insiders. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
How long have you been a reviewer?
Um, that's a good question. I don't actually know. Um, I joined them at some point in 2024. And so I would say probably a year and a half to 2 years. I have not posted a review in a while because I've been reading a manga and I don't really want to post 42 different reviews for each individual volume because I think if you see me post a new one, you're probably just going to roll your eyes. Um, but yeah, I've been with them for a while. They're great. The community is awesome. We have a great Discord server. We get a lot of people chatting and talking about the books, and so we
So
have a really awesome team, and I'm very grateful. I was lucky enough to have a couple of the people on the team actually provide a blurb for Heretic, and so if you ever end up with a physical edition, flip it over, you'll see both of them.
nice. So how long has it been since your last review that you've published? Like, are we talking a couple months? Are we talking a year?
Um, well, I do have unwritten reviews that I should write sitting on my laptop. I've had the Google Doc open with the name of the book and the review just blank for probably 6 months. But I think my last published review was December. I don't know if you're going to fact check me.
No, no,
Uh,
no. But
okay.
we are going to have the third very important question of the night. You're one for two,
Oh
and this
no.
is a unique to you question.
Oh no.
When you post your reviews, and if you post it, in the last like 6 months or so, this applies. Do you include the Berserker on your reviews?
I fear I might be going 1 for 3 because no, I do not.
Oh, I'm going to have to talk to Kristen. Just going to talk to her about this. Um, so,
It
are
was
you
last
familiar with the
I
Berserker?
Yes, I have learned in my last. That's actually why I haven't posted a review in 4 months. I was so depressed about not having included Berserker that I was like, oh, maybe I should
I'll
have went.
send you the file. I'll send it to you.
Okay, awesome.
So, so they did that on my creature creation show, and this is what they
Yes.
came up with. And at the times, like, Bo, let's do this. Get you and like five other. And he's like, no, no, I want to be from behind. I want to be in the background. So he wouldn't
Hmm.
come on the show. So therefore, they named it after him. I
Hmm.
was not able to make it happen. It still makes me sad. I was going to have a friend actually knit a Berserker hat, a
Wow.
crochet one, and then put it on his bald head at Worldcon last year in Seattle. But sadly, people have lives, and she couldn't
Uh-huh.
devote the amount of time to making this hat for me.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. I have to find out next time Bo is going to a World Con that I'm going to, and maybe we can make it happen then. Although he swore he would never have this touch in his head, so we may have to hold him down or something. I don't know.
I remember I made a hat for my dad and I just threw a patch on there, and so go do that, slap it on Bo, and what you can do is you can make it a backwards hat, and so he can't see it. Well, I guess you wouldn't see the regular hat.
So let me. However, Kristen was the savior because she did have the Bozerker fan
Ooh,
club
very nice.
patch made. So the Bozerker was present.
Which one was that? Was that Emerald City?
That was WorldCon was in Seattle,
Oh,
but
okay.
this year it's going to be in Anaheim, I think. Which I don't know anybody who wants to go to Anaheim. But next year it's going to be in Montreal. So
Ooh,
so
that's nice.
those of us on the East Coast, this is a much better setup for us. So
Yeah. No,
but
I
I
would
don't
love
know.
to go to a book con, but it's a bit far.
So what we have learned is if it's in Tokyo, everyone can pile into Noah's place because I'm sure it's very big and spacious in Tokyo.
No, definitely not. I have a futon that could probably sleep maybe half a person. So, uh,
Okay.
if somebody wants to cut themselves in half for a day, they're welcome.
So are you one of the people, the SFF Insiders, are they're in Spiffbo this year as a judging team, yes?
Yes, I'm not on one of the teams. I have been closed for reviews for a very long time, because I've been in somewhat of a slump, which is really why I haven't posted one.
Okay.
And also,
So now,
also, I
oh,
think the sorry, I just think I if because there's always a lot of backlash with contests from whoever, whatever. We're not going to get into that, but I would not handle that well. If someone yelled at me, I would be yelling much louder back, and I don't think we want that. And so it might be for the best that I'm not a judge.
well, I am a judge this year in IBOR, for those who didn't make it
Oh
in,
yes, yes.
and I've never been a judge before,
Hmm.
and so people have sent me stuff and say, "Hey, can you alpha or beta read this? Just tell me what you think."
Hmm.
And no one ever asked me a second time, um, because apparently I'm like, "Well, you can fix this and this and this," and I just have like a laundry list, and I'm like, "No, no, no, it's really good. There's a lot of very small things that you can fix, and then here are the major ones. Here's another one, and then I'm like, oh wait, I have to say something nice. I'm like, I did like it overall, but
Yeah, I do the
so
same thing.
so now that I'm a judge and I've read my 3 books, and I'm like, I have to write reviews, and I'm like, okay, let's not try to make someone jump off a 10-story building. Let's actually, they were not
Yeah,
abysmal. Let's not make a review that makes it sound like they are. Um,
yeah,
So yeah, that is what I'm struggling with. I have till the end of the month, and I have to have the 3 reviews done, and I've not started any of the reviews.
yeah. Good luck. That's all I can
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're coming to the big conclusion of
Oh,
the
wonderful.
show. Um, this is we call it the bald dome for random reasons. Has nothing to do with my hairstyle. Um, so have you played D&D before, or at least familiar with it?
All the time. I'm playing tomorrow night, actually.
Okay. So what we do is we're going to want to learn more about one of your characters, but we don't want spoilers.
Hmm.
So as a service to you, we are going to transport one of your characters to an alternate location where they will have an encounter, and this is very important. I must stress this. I'll set it up and say this is where everything is, and then you tell me what happens. If you
Okay.
do things like, well, he'll try to swing, does he connect? Then I'm going to have to roll. And
Uh-huh.
about 75% of all my rolls are 8 or less. So, I mean, it's great for the story, but if you want your character to live, you really don't want to depend on me. Um,
Uh-huh.
so, that is your one word of warning.
Okay.
So, I am going to get the dice ready here. I'm going to roll it. So you have to pick a character. They do not get to take any weapons or anything like that with them. They're transport with a tunic and their wits.
Okay, awesome.
So who is going to be the person that you subject to the bald dome?
Um, we're gonna go with Var, who is the main character heretic. Keep it topical.
Who is it again?
Var,
Bar, B-A-R?
Varre.
R-R-E. Okay. So B-A-R-R-E. Got it. Okay, so Bar is going to be transported. He goes to ye old alchemist shop, as one does. And the alchemist says, you know what, I want you to have one of these potions here. Unfortunately, the labels have come off, so I don't know what they do, but I guarantee you it is 100% effective no matter how you use it. So, what is your favorite color?
Is this me, the character, right?
Either you or the character, just give me a color.
Black.
It is a black fizzy potion. It looks like Coke, the drink. Um,
Oh no.
so he gets a black fizzy potion. It's in an Erlenmeyer flask with a nice cork stopper. And now let me roll here. And 7. Where are we? Let me get rid of some of these things here so I can get
Oh
the
no.
bald dome up. 7. So Bar has been transported on. By the way, this is. I have to say this for some authors because they will go to great lengths for their character to survive. This is not canon. This is an alternate universe. So if they die, you can continue with the series.
Awesome.
So just so you know. So good old Bar with his black fizzy potion has been transported to a desecrated graveyard. There's uneven terrain with open graves. Necromantic energy periodically animates fallen creatures, which can happen as often or as little as you want because you're telling the story. Um,
Hmm.
but that's where he's at. Now, the question for Bar is he can choose a regular item that I will select at random, and he'll face a regular animal, or he can choose a weapon, in which case he will face a fantasy creature. So, which does he want? Does he want a common item, or does he want a weapon?
Let's go with the weapon. Do I get to pick the weapon?
No,
Oh,
no. That would be totally make it easy for you. So, you could have had a wooden mallet as a common item, but instead you get 11, which is okay, basically the same. You get a mace.
okay.
So,
I'm looking
either
at.
way, and let's see, 5. So instead of facing a grizzly bear, you are facing a swarm of giant poisonous spiders in the desecrated
Awesome.
graveyard
Awesome.
with a mace and a black fizzy potion. Which, let me see what it does. I'm not going to tell you, but okay, there. Okay, so good old Bar has been transported. He nearly trips and falls into an open grave that the people had dug, and then they left because it was becoming nightfall, and they didn't want to be around for the desecrated graveyard for that. So he nearly loses his balance. He stops, waves his hands, and as he does that motion, all of a sudden he hears a little chittering, and lo and behold, from the trees that, of course, this is winter, so there are no leaves. The trees start moving, and giant spiders. We're going to say um, small dog size spiders start streaming down one of the trees. They're about 40 feet away. There's about, well, tell you what, I'll even roll. There are 12 spiders. 12 dog sized spiders. They're poisonous. They're giant. You don't know that they're poisonous. Well, you can kind of guess. It's a desecrated graveyard. Um, and then
Oh
there's
no.
Bar with his mace. He is not going to fall into the grave now. He has his balance. He sees the spiders walking towards him. The open grave is between him and the spiders. What does Bar do?
What does Var do? I think so. Mm, mm. They're. I would say her gut reaction is to assume that at first they're probably not malicious because the person that they work for is a terrible person. very evil. So they're like, oh, maybe these are friendly. Can probably very quickly tell that's not true. Um, and so I think they would immediately go, fuck it, down the black fizzy drink, and hope it does something useful.
Okay, so she drinks the essence of frostbite, which is a liquid which
Okay.
allows a drinker to project icy breath and become resistant to cold for an entire hour.
Okay.
So she
Well,
now
that's
has
great.
cold, frosty breath.
Okay. Is there a church of any kind in this graveyard?
If I roll odd, there is. I rolled a 17. Yes, there is a church.
Okay. Well, she doesn't like her chances, so she's gonna run in the church, and she's going to frost breath the door, so they hopefully don't come in. And she's probably gonna fail.
Okay, so I'm going to roll. If it's odd, the door is barable. If it's even, it is not barable.
Awesome.
And I rolled a 16. I'm rolling high today,
All
but
right. Well,
unfortunately,
time to
it doesn't
fight.
help you.
Okay.
So now
Um.
she's in the church. The spiders are a little more cautious because it's like going into a burrow. So they've slowed down. They're kind of trying to get up their insectoid courage. Although I guess they're not really insect, but details. Um,
Mhm.
so you get a little bit of time here.
Okay. If they're still coming through the door,
They're
uh,
not coming
she.
yet. They're kind of they're getting up their
Okay. Okay.
courage to.
She's gonna stand back from the door frame, and as soon as she gets a bunch from the door frame, she's gonna let out her frost breath.
Okay. Um, See, I don't play D&D, so what is the likelihood this is going to work? The frost breath.
Um. Well, I don't know. Maybe it'll make him a bit slower, and she can hit him easier.
So tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give the frost breath 50% chance of working, and if it works, I will
Awesome.
then roll to see how many spiders are affected, and we can just say their legs are brittle when they break and they're out of commission. So
Uh huh.
I need an 11 or better.
Come on.
16. Man, I'm
All
rolling
right.
high today, so it works. So
Nice.
now my 10-sided die. What percentage of the 12? Ooh, so if I roll double zero on this, that's 100%, or is that 0%?
I think that's 100%.
Okay, well, what does Bar do? Now all the spiders are dead. You are the luckiest person ever in the Bald Dome. I'll have you know. I didn't roll anything under a 16. I don't think.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, she'll. The spiders are dead. And I guess she'll hang out in the graveyard for a while because this is kind of normal.
Hmm. Is she going to look and see if there's any riches to be had on the spiders or from the tree they were in, or is she just going to wait until the portal opens and she can leave?
No, she doesn't really care about money. She'll look around for anything interesting, any like remnants from messages that might be left or any cool information. But she's not grave robbing. She's not ransacking the church's altar for all their goodies.
She
She's
sounds
evil, but she's not
entirely too
not that
intelligent.
evil. Yeah, I I know it's not canon, but I'm hoping. I'm glad she lived.
She did. Okay, so that is one of the shortest we've had. You made all the right choices. Um,
Oh well, I should have been worse. It would have been more fun.
we did have one where the character was attacking a minotaur, and after three misses each from the two combatants, because I could not roll better than an 8, they just decide to sit down and drink tea. So,
That's awesome. That is great.
and then when Isaac, oh hell, no, I can't think of his last name from all caps. Anyway, when Isaac was here, he just ended up jumping on top of the grizzly bear, and he had his new steed
Oh, that's
because
awesome.
he was telling the story, and he's like, I know how this goes. I'm just going to take the bull by the horns and not let you roll. So, but anyway,
Nice.
so Ascendant will be out 10/10 this year, correct?
10/10. Yes.
And it is book one in a new series.
Yes, it is book one, new series. takes place shortly after the events of Heretic go down. So
Okay, and let me get the books here again. Share screen.
also, before
Window.
we go, it took me way too long to realize you have a Jupiter shirt on, and it is awesome. I should have realized it much sooner.
Yeah. Well, if I'd stood up, give you a secret,
Yeah, but that's pretty cool.
So I bought a bunch of very silly shirts because I go to Comic Cons and I want to
Hmm.
dress appropriate for the
Yeah.
venue. And in my second book, my characters are actually going to visit Jupiter. So, and they're going to fly through one of the volcanoes on Io, which turns out to be a
Oh,
really
cool.
dumb idea. Um,
Well, maybe I got to start dressing appropriately. I got to get myself some moon shirts and Mars
you
shirts.
know, I mean, I could wear a Godzilla shirt and everybody think it's cool, but what would happen if you wear a Godzilla shirt in Tokyo? Or is that just, Monday morning
I
dress? Or
I think I would be. No one would be sitting next to me on the train. That's for sure.
well, you also are 6'4", so
Yeah, but it's more so the, I guess, the stigma, not the but yeah.
okay, hold on 1 second here. I had to clear a couple books out, so I'm trying to pull them up. We got that. We got that. Okay, so this one and that one. So we're going to run through it. So book 0 in the Tales of Aram.
Hmm.
Hold on. I'm getting faster. I swear. I can't get any slower. Um, is The Flames That Bind Us.
That's correct.
Book 2 is share screen. Where are you? Is Memories of Tomorrow. There we
Yes.
go. So why I'm doing this, are you ever going to enter your book in a competition or just no?
Um, I have tried. I have entered. I entered Memories of Tomorrow into SBFBO, the most recent one, because I think the one before that was the Champions League, and
Right.
uh, Memories of Tomorrow unfortunately didn't get selected, but I think it is in IBOR. I don't know who has it,
Okay.
but
Well,
it's
it
in
is
that.
not me.
Yeah, and then with Heretic, because it's a novella, I think maybe I'll submit it to some novella contest, but
To to Sphinx.
depends on, yeah, when
Um.
that happens.
Well, I will tell you, I've entered my fantasy and Spiffbo. Got cut in the first
Hmm.
round. I entered
Hmm.
my sci-fi in Spacebo. Got cut in the first round. I entered my novella in Sphinx. It got cut in the first round. And I will tell you, they've all been positive experiences. So I highly
Yeah,
recommend it. Just to talk to other people who are going through what you're going through, I
I
would
do.
recommend it.
I remember now that I had Flames That Bind Us in Sphinx, and it did get cut first round, but it was a good time still. And so I'm hoping um, one of the books can make it into SBFBO.
Okay.
Probably
And then
Ascendant will be next
Heretics
one.
is Heretics out now, or does it come out later this month?
Heretic released April 5th, and
So,
so that one's been out. All the other books are actually on sale because I was like, oh, what a great way to drive,
yep. So
traffic, because that works
this
for sure.
8-day-old book is available now. Um, and how much is Heretic?
Heretic is 2.99 ebook,
To,
and I think $11 for the physical.
nice. That is very, very reasonable. So, and
So
then
I'm
last but not least, we will have on 1010,
1010.
we will
The
have
old,
Ascendant, which will be book 1 of the First Testament to Broken Gods.
yes, that is correct.
Excellent.
And then 1010, and the pre-order and ARC sign up is already live. And so if anyone is interested in reading this before normal people, go over there.
Who wants to be normal?
Exactly.
So probably should have asked: Is this Ascendant? Is this in the same world as your first series, or is this a totally different world?
These are completely different.
Good
Different
man.
setting,
Good man.
different what's the word? Genre? theme, atmosphere. I don't know.
So is it still fantasy?
It is fantasy. It
Sword
is
and sorcery?
more not sword and sorcery. It's epic fantasy.
Okay.
A bit of political, military, just everything you can think of.
Okay. So last question for you. What are you going to be working on today at school for your research?
That is a good question. I have a postdoctoral application for a research grant that I got to finish, and then I'm also working on my model that I'm using to investigate Apollo samples, and so I'll hopefully finish up one of those. I don't know which one, but if I do good work, I'll finish one of them.
So postdoctoral, that means you are going to be graduating soonish then?
Yes, year and a half,
Year and a
hopefully.
half. Wow, year and a half and you're starting postdoctoral stuff now.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Well, is it a postdoctoral one? I don't remember. I'm applying for something, that's for sure. I'm applying for money, and that's what matters.
That I understand.
I don't know what I'm getting it for, but I'm applying for it.
Okay, well, good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
I don't know. I feel like I should send you a Godzilla T-shirt, and that way you will always get to sit by yourself on the train. Um,
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Make me feel even more like a foreigner.
okay, well,
Uh,
Noah, thank you. I kind of feel bad that you have to go to work now that this is over, but
it's all right. Had a great start to the day. Thank you so much for having me on. It was an amazing time.
yep,
Really
once
appreciate
you
it.
finish this, you can actually go and start making real money. So that's always good.
Hopefully, we'll see. It hasn't
okay,
happened
well,
yet.
okay. Well, the only thing left to do is we have to wave awkwardly while they wait to end the stream for some reason. So